Hey, welcome to this deep dive. Really glad you could join us today.
Great to be here.
We're tackling quite a tense topic, Britain's military stance. Its posture in the Middle East right now, given everything that's happening.
Absolutely. It's moving fast.
We've looked through all the source material you shared. And yeah, our mission today is to unpack it all, try to cut through the noise, and really figure out the key insights, what's actually going on, and where does the UK fit into this?
And it's timely, definitely. The sources make it clear the situation between Israel and Iran has, well, it's really intensified just recently.
Okay, so let's start there. Based on the sources, what was the immediate spark, the trigger for this latest round?
Well, according to what we've seen, it seems to stem directly from airstrikes. Airstrikes targeting certain Iranian facilities.
Right.
And that prompted a pretty swift retaliation from Iran. We're talking missile attacks aimed directly at cities inside Israel.
Cities, which one?
The sources specifically named Tel Aviv and Haifa, major population centers. And tragically, they also report civilian casualties from those attacks.
Okay, so that sequence, the initial strikes, the missile retaliation, casualties, that's what prompted the UK to act. What was their thinking, and what exactly did they do?
Yeah, that seems to be the direct cause and effect outlined. The UK's reasoning, as presented, focuses on, well, firstly, concern for regional stability. Things were clearly getting very dangerous.
Understandable.
And secondly, the need to protect British assets, British people, already in the region. As for what they did, the sources mention specific military deployments.
Okay.
Primarily Eurofighter Typhoons, those are the advanced jets, and also Voyager refueling aircraft.
Ah, the tankers. Why are they important here?
Because they let the Typhoons stay in the air much longer, extend their operational range and time without needing to land. Sort of force multiplier, you know.
Right, extends their reach. And where did they put these planes? The location must be significant.
Very. The sources highlight RAF Akrotiri in Cyprus. It's a key British base strategically located.
Why there specifically?
Well, it's relatively close to the area of tension, so they can respond quickly if needed. But it's also a secure, established base outside the most immediate hotspots, giving them flexibility.
Got it. Cyprus base, Typhoons, Voyagers. But you mentioned something crucial earlier, and the sources seem to underline this too, the nature of this deployment. It's not combat, is it? Not yet.
That's a really vital point.
Yeah.
Yes. Based on everything we have, these UK forces have not engaged in combat. The sources consistently use terms like precautionary.
Precautionary meaning?
Meaning they're there to watch, to protect assets, potentially deter further escalation, maybe support allies if asked. But they are not, at this stage, initiating attacks or joining the fighting directly.
Okay, that's clear. Positioned, ready, but holding back from direct engagement. So what's the bigger picture message here? What are the strategic implications of making this move, even if it's just precautionary?
Well, even a precautionary deployment sends a signal, right? It shows the UK is committed to stability in the region, or trying to be. It's an attempt at deterrence, basically, trying to warn others not to escalate things further. And it connects to their overall defense strategy. The sources mention the Strategic Defense Review, which really emphasize having forces ready to go, deploy quickly. This is sort of that policy in action, a real-world test of that readiness concept.
Interesting. And how does this UK action fit with what other countries are doing? What do the sources say about the international reactions?
It's quite varied. The sources note the U.S. expressing very strong support for Israel. You have figures like President Trump issuing quite stark warnings to Iran.
Right.
But then you have European nations generally pushing more for de-escalation, calling for talks, diplomatic solutions.
So where does the UK sit in that mix?
It seems like they're trying to navigate between those positions, showing military readiness, like with the Cyprus deployment, but also using diplomatic channels to stress the need to calm things down. It really highlights that tension, the military moves happen, but diplomacy is seen as the only real long-term answer.
And any mention in the sources about what this means back home for the UK? Domestic factors.
Yes, briefly. Deploying forces like this obviously costs money, uses resources. There's always a strain.
Sure.
And public perception matters. Our government needs to explain why they're doing this, what the risks are. Clear communication is key, as the sources sort of imply.
Okay, so let's try and pull this all together from the sources you provided. We've seen a sharp escalation Israeli strikes, Iranian missile retaliation. The UK responds by sending Typhoon jets and Voyager tankers to their base in Cyprus.
Right, RAF Akrotiri.
But crucially, it's described as a precautionary move. It's about signaling commitment to stability, deterrence, showing off that rapid deployment capability they've been focusing on.
Exactly. balancing military readiness with support for diplomatic efforts.
All while navigating these different international pressures, strong U.S. support for Israel, European calls for calm.
It's a complex balancing act, definitely. Military presence seen as necessary, but diplomacy is framed as the essential path forward.
Which leads to a final thought, perhaps for you, the listener. Given everything we've just unpacked from these sources, what does the situation tell you about that ongoing, maybe inherent challenge? The challenge of balancing military preparedness with the absolute need for diplomacy, especially in such volatile parts of the world. It's a tough one.
It really is. There are no easy answers there.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. We hope breaking down these sources helped make sense of a complex picture.
My pleasure. Always good to talk it through.
Until next time, goodbye.
Goodbye.